A few years ago, we coined the phrase, "The answer is yes," at the Catholic Education Foundation as an invitation to families who thought the experience was not at all possible. And if you think about Catholic education and its impact on young people and their families, some very important words come to mind. Words like transformational, life-changing, life-lasting. And on our part at the Catholic Education Foundation, we want to give each of you a very special thanks this evening for your part in allowing us to say to everyone that reaches out, the answer is yes.
Hello, my name is Ben Fultz, and I'm a board member of the Catholic Education Foundation. I'm also a recipient of Catholic Education Tuition Assistance. I guess I was one of the first recipients of the answer is yes. I started St. X as a 13-year-old in 1979. The youngest of 6 children. My mom was a homemaker. My father sold printing. It was a struggle to put us through Catholic education, but it got more difficult shortly thereafter. Both of my parents became terminally ill shortly after I started St. X. My father quickly was unable to work. One day I was summoned to the office. I was about 15. I thought, I know I've done something wrong. What if they figured it out? In fact, when I was greeted at the office, I met Brother Eddie and Brother Pierre. They asked me how my father was. I gave my pat answer, everything's fine. They then asked me, is your father working? And I said, no, brother, he's not. And your mom's a homemaker? Yes, brother. Brother gave me an envelope, and he said, I'm going to ask you to hand this envelope to your mom when your dad's not around. Because you're a 15-year-old boy, I'm going to tell you what's in the envelope. I said, no, brother, I won't look. He said, yes, you're a 15-year-old boy, you're going to look. He told me that from this point forward, all my tuition and fees at St. X were taken care of. I went home and I gave the envelope to my mother, who wanted to schedule a meeting with Brother Eddie and Brother Pierre. We came to St. X to meet with them, and my mother ultimately admitted that without some type of assistance, I probably would not be able to continue studying at St. X. My mom offered, she said, brother, I figured it out. I can pay $20, maybe $20 a week. I want to sign a promissory note. Brother leaned over the table, looked at my mother, and said, Mrs. Fultz, you're not going to do anything of the sort. He cocked his head. He looked at me and he said, one day, Benjamin, you'll pay us back, won't you? I answered, yes, brother, I will. My father ultimately died as I started my senior year, and the St. X community supported me throughout that entire process, just as it had supported me financially before. My mom died shortly thereafter. So in essence, I lost both my parents as a teenager, and but for the help I received from those unknown benefactor or benefactors, I really don't know what would have happened with me. I continued to study at St. X. I studied under teachers that loved me, that nurtured me, and that when appropriate kicked me in the butt. And I learned from that Catholic education, and I believed what they told me, that I could be anything and do anything I wanted to do as long as I tried hard enough and worked hard enough. And the brothers were right. I went on. I graduated with an accounting degree from Bellarmine. I worked as a CPA. I graduated from the law school at the University of Virginia, and for all intents and purposes have been very successful. But I haven't forgotten those unknown benefactors who got me to where I was. And the most important thing was it was a Catholic education, that the faith permeated everything I learned and everything that I was taught to strive for. And as I know, and I was told, it's ultimately more important to get into heaven than it is to get into Harvard. When Brother told me that he wanted me to pay it back, the term wasn't used back then. He really meant pay it forward. And I ask all of you to please pay it forward so that, like me, some kid from Buchel, or some little girl from Okolona, or some kid from Park Duval, or St. Matthews, or wherever, can have the benefit of a Catholic education. Let us continue making sure the answer is yes.